Speaking skill. Using questions to maintain listener interest. A. Page 167. 1.
And in 1879, Thomas Edison finally created a working light bulb. What's the main reason this invention is so important? It changed the way we live today.
2.
Why did Henri Becquerel leave dangerous chemicals in his desk drawer? Well, he didn't know they were dangerous, but that helped him to discover what we call radioactivity.
3.
Does anyone know who invented the first plastic? Over there in the front.
Leo Baekeland, right?
That's right. Mr. Baekeland was looking for a new kind of material to use on wires, and he accidentally created the first plastic.
4.
William Perkin accidentally created the first artificial color for clothing. What was he really trying to make? Yes, Colin?
I think it was a medicine.
Correct. Mr. Perkin was trying to create an artificial medicine that people needed.
Listening 1. Generation Next. Listen for main ideas. Page 46.
The sound of childhood. Happy, energetic, carefree. We all know what it means to be young, and those of us who are adults, we also know what it means to be adult. Commuting to work, earning a living, taking on financial responsibilities, feeding a family, running a home, and looking after babies. So when do we become an adult? I still remember the exact moment that I grew up. It was the day I waved goodbye to my parents, got on a plane, and flew to Uganda in East Africa to spend a year there as a volunteer teacher. It was my 18th birthday, and from that day on, I was an adult. But not everyone can pinpoint the moment quite as precisely as I can.
In some ways I feel like an adult, in some ways I don't. I'm definitely in between.
This is Monica, 17 years old, and the daughter of my American cousin. Monica's confused, just as millions of adolescents are around the world. And the American academic, Cynthia Lightfoot, who studies the way children develop, says we adults don't exactly help.
We don't do a very good job of defining an identity for them. We do a good job for kids. You know, they don't need to be responsible. Kids are playful. They're in school. So we have a fairly well-defined role for what it means to be a kid. We have a fairly well-defined role for what it means to be an adult, which is all the things that kids are not. Responsible, not playful, economically independent, morally independent, and so on.
I asked my 21-year-old daughter the other day when she finally felt grown up. It was, she said, when she moved out of our house into a place that she's sharing with friends. She's now living an adult life, even if there was no formal ceremony to mark the transition. The academic Cynthia Lightfoot again.
One of the things that often happens in traditional societies is that they have cultural supports for adolescents defining who they are. And those cultural supports often come in the form of initiation ceremonies. So there are certain markers that are provided by the culture that allow kids to say, I am an adult now. I am separate from my family. In many industrialized societies, those markers aren't as clear-cut, or they don't have the signal value that they do in traditional societies. So we do, in fact, have certain kinds of milestones, such as getting a driver's license, being able to vote, but these don't have the same significance. One reason being they're all spread out throughout adolescence.
I feel like I could do most of the things that adults do, like right now. Like, I have to wait 2.5 years or so to be able to drive, and I think I could drive right now.
Most teenagers I've ever met think they could do just about anything. Rites of passage can help adolescents make the transition to adulthood. Without them, we can sometimes get confused. So there's a psychological element to growing up. It's when we decide who we are. But ask the United Nations when in law you stop being a child, and they'll tell you it doesn't happen until a single defined point in time, your 18th birthday. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child assumes that anyone under 18 is a child and is entitled to be protected as such. Victor Karunan of the UN Children's Agency, UNICEF, explains why.
In most societies, you would be arriving at an age in and around 18 where that major shift would take place from the period of adolescence to adulthood. However, we know in particular situations that children in a much earlier age would take on adult responsibilities. And there you have a contradiction between the child exercising responsibilities of an adult, but legally not being given that recognition.
And if one turns that on its head, in a developed society like Britain, for example, there are many, many hundreds of thousands of men and women in their 20s who are not yet self-sufficient economically, maybe living still with their parents. Are they still children?
Yes, interesting, isn't it? I think we define children very much in terms of emotional needs within the West. We see them as recipients of our love, our protection, our care, and so on. Whereas I think in many parts of the world, children are not just seen as recipients, they're seen as active contributors who play a social economic part in the family from really quite an early age. And that does affect the status of children within families.
No wonder we find adolescence so confusing.
B. Page 168.
The popsicle is a popular summertime treat in the United States. Kids have been enjoying them for decades. But most people don't know that the popsicle was invented by an 11-year-old. In 1905, Frank Epperson filled a cup with water and fruit-flavored soda powder, a mix that was used to make a popular drink. Frank left his drink outside on his porch with a stir stick in it. He forgot all about it and went to bed. That night, the temperature dropped to below freezing in San Francisco, where Frank lived. When he woke up the next morning, he discovered that his fruit drink had frozen to the stir stick. He pulled the frozen mixture out of the cup by the stick, creating a fruit-flavored ice treat. In 1923, Frank Epperson began making and selling his ice treats in different flavors. By 1928, Frank had sold over 60 million popsicles, and his business had made him very wealthy. Nowadays, over 3 million popsicles are sold each year. Popsicles aren't the only invention made by accident, but they might be the tastiest.
Listen for details. Page 47. Listen again to listen for main ideas. Listening skill. Making predictions. B. Page 49. 1.
Today's topic is proper behavior in the workplace. We'll be discussing several issues, including how to deal with a workplace disagreement, why it's important to be punctual, and how to dress appropriately in any work environment.
2.
Anna, I can't keep up with the homework. I am just too tired after a long day at work.
I know what you mean. I took an online business class last semester. It was tough getting all the work done at night. I had to come up with a plan.
How did you do it?
3.
I'm excited about going to study in London for a year, but I'm going to miss you a lot, Tara.
I know. I'll miss you too, but...
4.
Oh, thanks for stopping by. I'm trying to get all the employees together for a meeting. It's been very slow lately, and morale is pretty low, but I want to share some important news with them. I just heard that our company won the Williams contract. That means we have a lot more business coming to us.
Listening to. Growing up quickly. Listen for main ideas. Page 51.
Good morning. Today, we're going to talk about the issues faced by children who have to take on adult responsibilities before they're 18. First, let me tell you a story of a kid in this situation. Let's call him Bill. Bill's father died before he was born, and for a few years his mother was a single parent. Then his mom remarried and had another child. Bill worked hard in school, but he struggled to help his mother take care of his younger brother. This is a common situation for children like Bill. They're forced to act like adults for a wide variety of reasons. In Bill's case, a young sibling gave him adult responsibilities. In other situations, a parent is sick, so the child has to take care of the sick parent. Sometimes, when parents divorce or one dies, a child takes on responsibilities such as cooking and cleaning. Or, in some immigrant families, a child may be the only family member who speaks the new language, so he or she has to translate for the parents at school or at the doctor's office. Although kids often want to help their families, too much responsibility can be a burden for them. They may feel they're giving up their childhoods. An important term regarding these children is parentification. When we talk about parentification, we're saying that the child is taking on some of the duties and responsibilities of a parent. A 10-year-old who's making dinner every night, a 12-year-old who's in charge of getting her siblings ready for school every morning, a 16-year-old who picks the younger kids up from school, or who goes to the parent-teacher meetings for a sibling. All of these kids are parentified in a way. However, some kids don't just act as parents to their younger brothers or sisters. Some take care of their mothers or fathers. They reverse roles with their own parents. When you have this role reversal, the parents are so sick that they can no longer act in their parental role. The children cook for them, shop for groceries, even dress their parents, bathe them, and put them to bed. The children make the important decisions. The needs of the parents become more important than the needs of the child. In less extreme cases, kids have to take care of their parents or another family member, but the parents are still in charge. So, for example, if a mother has a major illness and is too weak to get out of bed, the child may cook dinner or go to the grocery store, but the mother is still the parent in the relationship. She's the one who makes decisions and provides guidance to the child. She just can't physically do everything a parent does. Okay, so kids are forced to grow up quickly for a variety of reasons. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it depends on the situation and on the child. As you might guess, the ones who suffer the most are the kids who reverse roles with a parent. Because role reversal happens in cases where the parents have the most problems and are the least capable, their children often feel more isolation. They may be embarrassed by the situation at home. They may feel confusion about how regular kids or teens are supposed to act. But many kids with adult responsibilities, not just those where the roles are reversed, resent their responsibilities and see their duties at home as barriers to a happy social life. They can't go out and have fun. They feel a lot of frustration and they have a lot of stress. So, which kids do the best? Probably the young caregivers who take on responsibilities only for a short period of time and at an older age. Also, kids who feel supported by their families or who get support from school or other adults usually do much better. And there can be positive effects for children with some adult responsibilities. These kids often care more about others. They get satisfaction from helping people. Many of these kids grow up to become teachers, counselors, and health professionals. In fact, remember that kid Bill I told you about earlier? That was Bill Clinton, who later became President of the United States.
Listen for details. Page 52. Listen again to listen for main ideas. Grammar. Phrasal verbs. A. Page 56. 1.
I can always count on my brother to help me with the chores.
2.
I try to show up on time for school every day.
3.
Once I tried to run away from home when I was a child.
4.
Fortunately, I talked my son into cleaning the garage this weekend.
5.
I didn't know what that word meant, so I had to look it up.
6.
I decided to drop in on my father to see how he was doing.
Pronunciation. Sentence stress. Page 57.
I became an adult when I got married and started a family.
A. Page 57. 1.
When you become employed, you can call yourself an adult.
2.
I think it's how much you can provide for yourself.
3.
I think it's when you get married.
4.
I think you become an adult at 16.
5.
The day that I'm an adult is the day that I can do whatever I want to do.
6.
The age at which you become an adult varies.
Speaking skill. Giving a presentation. A. Page 59.
Hi. Today my presentation is about an important turning point in my life. Okay, so when I turned 16, I got my driver's license. I was really excited. On my birthday, my mom and dad also gave me a new car. The car was a red sports car and really fun to drive. I used to go really fast on the highway. I felt like a real adult when I was in my car. But one day I drove past a police officer and he stopped me for driving over the speed limit. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I got a ticket and a fine, and I had to tell my parents about it. I didn't feel like an adult when I had to tell them. Because of the ticket, they took away my car until I could prove to them that I was more responsible. That's it.
Consider the ideas. A. Page 60.
Hello, I'm Trish, and today I'd like to tell you about an important turning point in my life. When I was 18 years old, I went to Europe for a long vacation. I had a lot of interesting adventures, and I grew up a lot on that trip. However, one event sticks out in my mind as a moment in my life when I really left childhood and entered adulthood. I was traveling in Russia at the time. My father's voice sounded so far away on the phone when he called. I couldn't believe his news. My mother had a problem with her brain, and the doctors didn't know if she was going to live. I got on the plane the next day and hurried across the planet hoping that my mom would still be alive when I got back home. When I walked into her hospital room, she recognized me, but couldn't talk. She got better bit by bit, and one day I was allowed to take her outside in the hospital garden. As I pushed her wheelchair, I realized that my mom would need me for a while. I understood that even though traveling was my dream, it was more important to stay home and take care of my mom. I guess that I learned that being an adult means putting other people's needs first. I think I grew up a little more as my mom and I enjoyed the flowers in the hospital garden.
you.